attempts and comfort food. Roasting is definitely one of my favorite ways to get maximum flavor with slightly minimum effort. One thing that is definitely going to be amazing roasted is a turkey, which is perfect for this time of year because turkey day is right around the corner. But today I won't be roasting a turkey because I personally prefer to have turkey roasted in the oven for the first time of the year for Thanksgiving. Otherwise I get really bored of it and I'm just like, no, I'm not going to enjoy it for Thanksgiving. So today I'm going to be roasting up a lovely little chicken. Chicken is really great for soup and chicken cacciatore or chicken salad. I mean, it's great for you to use throughout the week, and you can have a nice roast chicken for your first dinner if you want. And it's the same concept. You gotta truss it, you gotta tie up its legs, you gotta make sure that it's washed, you got the roasting to ratio time for the size. So it's the same idea, but this is just a chicken and probably gonna be a little bit smaller than your average turkey you're gonna find on your table. So what I'm gonna be doing today is that roast chicken. It's gonna be delicious. There's gonna be leftovers, hopefully. So let's get started roasting this bad boy today on Sweetly Savory. Boom, roasted. So in order to get started on our roast chicken here, you gotta take it out of the package, which is extremely messy, and it's always recommended to clean out your sink beforehand because otherwise it's just gonna be a big old mess with your innards here. So we're gonna go ahead and open up the packaging. Leave those kitchen scissors right in the sink because you can wash those up. And here we have our bird. Well, you can't really see it. Here we have our bird, Charles the chicken. And hi Charles, how you doing? You've got your bag of goodies on the inside. Now if you're gonna be making gravy or anything like that with your turkey, you'd wanna use this, I think, for your gravy. Evan usually does the gravy. He's the official gravy master of our family, so that's his court. So I'm just gonna go ahead and save this for right now. I'll leave it in the sink because that's where all gross stuff goes. And you wanna empty this guy out and rinse him off. And you'll use cold water to rinse this off. And please excuse if there's a kitten that tries to come up and investigate the chicken in the sink, because he's been very inquisitive. All chickens and turkeys have this little meat thermometer gauge that when it pops up, it's done. And you can definitely use that if you want, but I really recommend using a meat thermometer. That's gonna tell you the exact temperature in the meat, and that way you're not guessing like, oh well, it's popped, I think it's done, and they take it out and it's like only partially cooked. And say if you've stuffed your turkey or your chicken, then you're gonna have like raw stuff on the inside. But what we're gonna do for this guy is cook it unstuffed because I don't have any stuffing to make. And we're gonna wanna pat him dry so that when we season him, the seasoning is gonna stick and you get a nice crisp skin on him. Now that we're situated in our roasting rack here, I've been unable to locate my wire rack for the turkey for Thanksgiving. So we found this contraption at the grocery store, and it's a set of 2, or Target. I think it was Target. So we found that at Target. I can put the link in the description, and it's fairly reasonably priced, and it's easy for storing because you know those like wacky wire racks, they're tough to stick in your cabinet, or they're just gonna be like flopping around and a nuisance. So we found that because we weren't able to locate the actual wire rack that probably came with this roasting pan when we originally bought it. Long story short, we've got this, and I think that it's gonna work out a little bit better because you can set your bird on top of it and it'll give nice even cooking, and you'll still get your drippings, and it's not gonna, you're still gonna get that crispy skin. And the other thing that I'm noticing right now, and it could just be partial to this size bird. This is a 7.5-pound chicken. My chicken wings sit perfectly in the little roasting rack here up at the top. So I may not be so lucky later or the next time that I go to use this, but you know what? I'm gonna take it as a win this time. So what you would do if you were going to stuff your bird, you would empty it out and take out that bag of giblet thing, and not right away. When you're closer to the end of your roasting stages, that's when you would want to put in that stuffing, because you don't want to have your stuffing going into a raw bird. It's not going to cook in there at the same rate, and you don't want to get food poisoning. That's probably going to be the #1 reason for people going to the hospital for Thanksgiving, is food poisoning for raw stuffing inside of a turkey like that. So big X-nay on your stuffing in that way. I always like to do my stuffing outside, and I actually cook it in muffin tins, because that way you have your own little perfect portions, and that's it. It's just the same reason that I love cupcakes. Anyway, side story. So we're gonna take our bird legs, our chicken legs, and we will ideally be tying them together. That way everything stays perfect and we're not having flopsy mopsy. So let me go ahead and grab my twine. So we've got our cooking twine. You can hopefully buy this still at your local grocery store. It took me a really long time to be able to find this. I don't even understand why. It's just cooking twine, but I guess this stuff's popular. So, and it lasts a really long time because this roll is like pretty big. I use it for crafting too. So what we're gonna do is tie up our legs here. And I have to admit, it does help if you have another person to hold that knot, but you know what? That was pretty good. That was pretty good for one person job. Giving moisture to your bird is quintessential. And typically what I do for my Thanksgiving turkey is butter, because I mean, it's Thanksgiving, it's butter, you need butter for the holidays. But this time I think I'm gonna go ahead and use some oil, and I'm trying to think of a smoke point and also a flavor profile to go with my seasonings, which I'll probably be using thyme, rosemary, and sage just because they're classic. And for that, I'll go with olive oil, maybe smoke point. Not vegetable oil. Maybe grapeseed? I don't know. Should I do a combination? Let's go consult a cookbook. Oh, margarine or butter. Oh. So after looking it up in a cookbook, my own Betty Crocker cookbook, I've discovered that butter should be used. So we're gonna ex-nay the oil and just go straight to the butter, because butter is amazing apparently. It is gonna give you that crispy skin and it's hopefully not gonna burn. I haven't experienced any burning of birds in the oven, so maybe that's why. Who knows? It's tried and true. So I'm gonna grab some butter, I'm gonna grab my seasoning, and we'll be back in a few moments. So we've got our butter here. It's just a couple of tablespoons that I've sliced up in my thing here. I'm just gonna leave it out all together. And we've got our sage, our rosemary, and our thyme. I'm just gonna sprinkle them out as needed. It's probably gonna be at least a couple of tablespoons for you to cover the entire bird. So you're gonna wanna take that first piece of your butter, and clearly we're gonna put it here, all on the outside of the skin. And it might have been easier to trust my bird later, but it's loose enough to get around, because in order to get that crispy skin, you're gonna wanna get your butter in underneath here. Yeah. I'll go ahead and flip Charlie over. And I'm kind of impressed that I'm barely using any butter here, but good enough. Right, so we washed our hands, they're nice and clean, and we're going to get started with our seasoning here. And I'm just gonna put it on the top because I don't feel like moving my bird around again. So I've got my rosemary here. I'm just gonna crush it up in my hand. Now you can use that mortar pestle that I've shown in the past. But honestly, just breaking up the dried rosemary in your hand does the trick. And I think I originally took about a tablespoon. And I'm just gonna go whoop, whoop. Now for your Thanksgiving bird, you can do whatever seasoning you want. And the one that I really recommend is gonna be Bell seasoning, because it's just the American classic. But you can honestly do this if you want. You can do like garlic, you can do whatever you want. I mean, it's your food. Flavor it how you want. Let's go ahead and set this aside for right now. I've got my veggies to cut up, and we'll be back in a few moments to get that started. All right, we're back, and we've got our onion, carrot, and we've got some celery here. So this is gonna be the traditional Mirepoix, M-I-R-P-O-I-X. And you're going to use this for basically anything that you want to have classic flavors. So you do a beef stew, you do chicken soup, you do chicken and dumplings, you do roast turkey, you do roast chicken. You want a Mirepoix, and this you can get a kit of this all together at the store. Sometimes I can find it at Trader Joe's, but today I wanted to not show you how to cut them up, but I wanted to cut them up myself just so that I have this stuff for later, because I am going to be making chicken soup with any tentative leftovers. So we're going to go ahead and get started on these. And you don't have to cut them up real fine because you're going to be putting them in with your chicken, and you don't want them to cook down entirely. You want them to have some substance. Celery here, and I'm just gonna take a few ribs. Oh no! Ah, you've broken my ribs! Ah! before. So you're gonna wanna go ahead and maybe rinse these off too, even though they've been in a bag. But this piece, these center pieces of a celery heart, keep these because these are super flavorful for if you do a chicken noodle soup. I don't understand why they are, but they've got a lot of good flavor and nutrients, so you want to keep those. I'm going to take some olive oil, I think. Yeah, I think some olive oil, because these are going to be roasted. And even though I'm going to put them in with the butter chicken, I still want something for these guys. And I don't want to put them in butter, preferably. So it's probably a tablespoon. And you don't have to necessarily do the same flavor profile because it'll pick it up from the chicken, but salt and pepper are a must. So I'll just sprinkle on some salt. And like I say, you can never have enough pairs of tongs, even though I only have one. So we'll go ahead and give this a stir. Make sure everything is sort of evenly coated. Tongs are really fantastic for serving this too. So we're gonna go ahead and put this around our chicken. So we've got our chicken here, and I'm just gonna put my Mirepoix veggies around. So we're gonna go ahead and stick this guy in the oven. Hopefully he doesn't take 2 or 3 hours because I'm really hungry. But you want the internal temperature to be 165 degrees, and that's for the breast. I don't like to gauge it by the chicken wing or the drumstick. That's like too little meat and it's right on the outside of the chicken. You want to test what's going to be closest to the inside of your chicken, and that's going to be a truer temperature gauge. So your vegetables will roast up nicely. Fingers crossed, the chicken comes to 165. Let's go ahead and get Charles into the oven so that we can eat. And that'll be enough time for you to like this video in the description down below. You can subscribe to Sweetly Savory right there in that little corner. Make sure to check me out on Instagram. I can put that right here as well. And please stick around for the rest of the video and we'll show you how to carve this chicken, and that way you can have your own lovely carved bird for Thanksgiving table. Alright, so we're going to take a look at our chicken here. It's been about an hour, I want to say. So I'll be the first to admit that this is not an easy task of trying to baste anything.
Why don't you explain why you need to baste?
Why do I need to baste? So basting helps keep your juice moist, your meat moist, and make sure that it doesn't dry out. But basting from inside your pan is going to keep the flavor going around in a circle, and you'll create even more flavor. And you want to make sure to keep giving the wings, because the wings, especially the wing tips, those are going to be the first thing to dry out. And then let's turn Charles around. I've named him Charles the Chicken, because you got Tom the Turkey. So you got to keep your baster at, I guess this is a 45-degree angle, and you don't even really have to squeeze it. You just kind of tip it out, and then it'll nicely kind of paint your chicken with your juices. And I even like to try to get the bones here at the end, because they'll they can catch, and not like catch on fire, but it can dry everything out. And this would probably be why we want to use butter instead of oil, so that we get the moisture from the butter and we're not going to get too much burning. Browning instead of burning.
Yeah, one time I used vegetable oil and the bird caught on fire.
You know, I almost did that tonight, and that's why I converted to my cookbook. And it said butter in one of the recipes, and I said, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and use butter. So we've basted our chicken here, and let's go ahead and get a temperature reading. So like I said, we're gonna stick this thermometer into the breast of the chicken, because this is going to be the thickest part of the chicken and it's going to be closest to the center. So we're still at 130 or 123 actually. So we need another like 40, 50 degrees on it to be 165. And that'll probably be about another half an hour, maybe an hour. We'll check it again in a little bit, see where we are, and then we will get to the carving piece of that. All right. So our chicken's done. It's at 165.4, which is perfectly good. Let's go ahead and take this bad boy out of the oven. Oh my goodness. Smells and looks so beautiful. Now we've had to change the temp of the oven a few times because we just wanted it to eat. And it recommended originally at 350, 325. But that's for an electric oven, so you know the conversions are over here for gas and all that good stuff. So we are at, I don't know what time it is, and it just, you know, you need to cook it till 165. We'll be back in a few to carve up this bird, and we'll show you the right way to do it for your holiday table.
Alright, so Kathleen has asked me to carve the chicken here. So we're just going to go through the basics of carving the chicken. Basically, we want to get the legs and the wings separated, and we want to get some breast meat off of it. So I'm going to go for the legs first. I always go for the legs. So you want to like kind of cut in here because you want to cut to the joint if you can. And then probably should break the trestle here. There we go. And then I'm going to just use my hands because actually it's really hot. Maybe I can't. I should use a knife that's actually for this, huh? There we go. Wow. Really hot. Ooh, almost got it. Basically the point is to try and dislocate the bone out of the joint. But because it's so hot, I'm really struggling to find it. There it is. There we go, I think I got it. Yeah. There we go, we got that guy. Now I'm gonna go after the next one. The limbs are always the hardest. It's a lot easier when the chicken's not cooked because you can like kind of get in there with your hands without burning yourself. But this is really good, Kathleen. You did a good job. It's really well cooked. Yeah, I think it's almost completely separated now. Yep. See, I just cut through the joint there. The other thing to keep in mind is that chicken bone is a lot softer than like mammal bones like cows and stuff. So, and now we're gonna go after the wings. We get one of this here. Well, one thing you can do is you can always turn it around like this. And basically then you can dislocate it like that. Whoop. Shit. There. That guy's done. See, I got cut right into the joint there. Got right through it. All right, here you go. Here you go. You can have a little. There you go. And after you get the limbs off, the breast meat's kind of easy at that point. Just kind of slice it as, you know, as big as you want it. Me, I just like to, when I'm cutting, you know, when we're cooking for a group of people, you kind of just want to kind of like, basically, you want to cut down to the ribs, because here, this is like, well, this is the breastplate of the animal. Or the chicken. And then usually I just take the fork and kind of just hold it in place, or I try to. Now, what's left, I like to save, and then what you can do of what's left, you can take it and put in a pot of water, and you just let it cook for like all day or several hours. And basically, what will happen is the remaining meat will come off the bones, and then from there you can, you know, get rid of the bones, because chicken bones are no joke. You can die on them. You can choke and die on them. So you definitely don't want them in your stuff.
Do you want to wrap it up?
And that's pretty much it. One final thing I usually do sometimes is you can do that, and you can kind of like break off this piece from the main body, and that's pretty much it. That's how you carve up a chicken. It doesn't take very long. It's not too bad. And that's it. Just with a knife and a fork and just using your hands.
Let's go consult a cookbook. I see you, Claudette! No, get down.